Being an American right now is some scary fucking shit. Studio apartment, $2,500. Average cost of a car, $50,000. You want a bacon, egg, and cheese? Motherfucker, them eggs cost $20. You need gas to fill up that $50,000 car? Well, get ready to spend $70. The government? Yeah, that's no longer a thing, buddy. You want to be educated and go to school so you could do something with your life? Well, sorry. That's no longer a thing. If you happen to look something like I do, Hispanic, we're going to send you out of the country, even though you were born here. Oh, and that small check that you earn every week? Yeah, I'm going to have to take half of that. Give me that. And that car that you paid $50,000 for, we're going to have to charge you taxes every year for that too. Pretty much, living a comfortable life in America right now is almost fucking impossible. Thank you, Trump.
Based off of the integrity level of every person that ran America, I'm trying to figure out who is this God that they trust? That they be putting on their money and all that. Who is this God? Because there is no way that is the God of the universe, that is the God that created good. Because there is nothing good that comes from these people. Nothing. Nothing. It's like they want you to struggle. They want you to suffer. They claim to have all the richest people in the world, and you have the highest homeless population. Y'all raising the cost of living every time you turn around. Like, this is weird. Y'all not letting this shit click to y'all. This shit is demonic. It's demonic. It's a reason why they allow all these churches to be on every street. 2 and 3 churches on one street. They don't allow them to pay taxes, all of that, because they need that message. Whatever that message, like, they need that. And it's the way that they give it to control. Because nothing good comes from this place, bro. Nothing good comes from this place.
When you look at the numbers, it's hard to disagree. Richest country on earth. Highest medical bankruptcy rate in the developed world. Highest homelessness per capita among wealthy nations. Wages frozen since the 1970s. The math isn't mathing. And the church thing? That's just tax policy. Religious institutions pay 0 property taxes, 0 income taxes. You, taxed on your paycheck, your car, your home, your groceries, in some states, when you're working full-time and still broke, when every safety net has holes the size of Texas, when the system feels designed to extract every last dollar from you and call it freedom, people stop believing in the fairy tale.
It's sad. You see so many people doing whatever it is necessary to make that money. Everything becomes a fucking business. Everything, including the church. This is horrible, bro. Like, this is the worst fucking timeline to ever be on. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. I seen somebody make a video yesterday saying that shit, and that shit is so true. This is like the worst fucking time frame to be on. The world that I knew is over. Over.
Work full time, still broke. That is the American reality. America loves to brag about being the richest country in the world. But tell me why the richest country in the world can't take care of its own people. Parents working 2-3 jobs just to keep the damn lights on. Folks getting sick and losing their homes because a hospital bill is treated like a death sentence. And don't even get me started on rent. Half of y'all are paying more for a 1-bedroom than your parents paid for their whole damn house. And the wildest part is, Americans have just accepted it. Y'all act like this shit is normal. And people will tell you that's the cost of freedom. Freedom? Freedom from what? Freedom to be broke? Freedom to live paycheck to paycheck until you die? That's not freedom, y'all. It's a scam. I just want to know, when we stop clapping for this so-called experiment that's called the American dream and start demanding better. Because if your kids are destined to have less than you, then what are you working for? What's the dream then? Do you believe your kids will be better off than you? Or are we just lying to ourselves to try to make it through the week? I want to know.
Guys, this is why the healthcare industry in the United States is so fucked up, okay? I just left the doctor's office. My 6-year-old daughter had a bunch of bumps underneath her left armpit, right? She's been complaining for the last week that her underarm has been itchy. You know, oh, daddy, it burns, it's itchy. So I thought it might have been maybe some of the soap we were using or a shampoo, whatever it was, okay? Made an appointment to take her to the dermatologist. He just seen her. He sent in a prescription. Mind you, this all happened within the last hour. Sent in a prescription to the local Walgreens here in our area. I pull up to the drive-up window, right? Hello, sir. May I help you? Yes, ma'am. Our doctor sent in a prescription for my daughter. Can you please see if it's ready? Sure, no problem. Okay. Now this is a prescription for all you pharmacists out there. Tell me what the fuck I'm missing, because I'm about to get steamed. This is a prescription, okay? That's what it's called. That's what it's called. All right? 1% cream applied twice daily. Again, that's a prescription. Pharmacist comes back. Yes, sir, we have your prescription ready. How would you like to pay for it? Well, does my insurance cover it? I'm sorry, sir. Unfortunately, the insurance doesn't cover it. Now, mind you, I've got United Healthcare, which is supposed to be a decent insurance. Pay $750 a month, right? However, for some reason, it doesn't cover this fucking prescription. I don't know why. You fucking tell me. Maybe if I was a migrant, it would cover it, right? But listen, we'll leave that for another fucking day, right? No problem, ma'am. How much is it? I'll pay cash. $202 fucking dollars. As God is my witness, as I'm sitting in this car in the fucking parking lot of Walgreens, $202 for this fucking anti-itch cream. What am I missing? What am I missing? Okay? My response, ma'am, we will not be taking this prescription. Thank you. I parked the car, walked inside, bought a tube of cortisone, and I'm going home with it now. This is why people like American citizens like myself and every other American citizen in the United States is so fucking pissed off. Okay? Because the Democrats on the left side are catering to these illegal migrants that are breaking the law, giving them free health care, while I get it stuck right up my fucking ass, even though I pay $12,000 a year for what? To pay an additional $200 because they don't cover the fucking prescription? This is wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
He's paying $9,000 a year in premiums just for having insurance, not using it, having it. Daughter needs anti-itch cream, not chemotherapy, cream. Insurance says no. Price, $202. He walks in, buys cortisone over the counter for maybe $8. Problem solved. So what's the $9,000 for? Every other developed country figured this out decades ago. Universal health care, price controls, actual negotiation with pharmaceutical companies. Here, we charge $200 for cortisone and tell people to budget better.
Here's your discharge paperwork. I'm glad you're feeling better after I got everything lined out for you, but I will see you here in the hospital next month whenever everything that I just fixed inevitably gets dorked up again, because you don't have a good primary care physician. I will admit a patient that has decompensated cirrhosis and get them tuned up. I will stop all of their blood pressure medicines because cirrhosis cures hypertension. I will take them off of all of their ACEs and ARBs. I will DC all of their beta blockers. I will fix all of their electrolytes and get things back to where they are in a good place before I discharge them. And then they will be back in the hospital a couple months later because they went to each of their specialists and like their cardio provider resumed all of those medications because they're not aware that this patient has decompensated cirrhosis. Lack of a leader at the center of the whole person, multi-organ care, a primary care physician that knows how each of these diagnoses and each of these organs work together, and how even though certain medications that are heart protective, as soon as we get other diagnoses like cirrhosis, we no longer want to use those medications despite what they might prevent for the heart. And that is the specialty of primary care. That is the specialty of family medicine. And you have to be damn smart to do it. And you have to be really, really clinically adept in order to manage these very complex patients that need good primary care doctors. And there aren't any. Patients are so complicated and they're being managed in little silos by specialists that are only worried about their organ, and the care and the health of that patient is getting lost because no one is taking ownership of how all of those things interact for the whole person. And it is just so disheartening some days because I discharge patients knowing that they're darn well going to be right back because they do not have anyone at the center of their care to take care of them when they leave the hospital.
Living in America right now feels like a punishment. You wake up already behind, you go to work just to stay broke, and you watch the cost of everything rise while your paycheck doesn't move an inch. Groceries are a luxury, rent is robbery, healthcare is a joke, and somehow we're the ones blamed for not budgeting better. People are working 2-3 jobs and still choosing between food or gas. Families are crammed into apartments because buying a house became a fantasy. You can't afford to get sick, you can't afford to rest, you can't afford to exist, but they keep telling us the economy's strong. Strong for who? Because it sure as hell isn't the people doing the work. We're out here treading water while billionaires build rockets, politicians trade stocks, and corporations raise prices just because they can. We were promised opportunity, we got survival. And what makes this worse is watching people blame themselves. Like somehow you failed because you can't afford a one-bedroom anymore. Like you didn't do enough, when the truth is the math just stopped adding up years ago. They told us to work harder, but never told us they'd change the finish line. This isn't a country full of lazy people. It's a country full of exhausted ones. Simple as that.
Country full of exhausted ones. Not laziness, not entitlement, exhaustion. Wages stagnant since the 70s. Productivity up, profits up. CEO pay up 940% since 1978. Worker pay up 12% in 50 years. You're running as fast as you can just to stay in the same place. And they blame you. Budget better, work harder, get a better job. As if there's some magical job that covers $2,500 rent, $200 prescriptions, $70 gas and groceries that doubled in 3 years. This isn't work ethic failure. It's policy failure.
Living in America right now feels like a punishment. You wake up already behind, you go to work just to stay broke, and you watch the cost of everything rise while your paycheck doesn't move an inch. Groceries are a luxury, rent is robbery, healthcare is a joke, and somehow we're the ones blamed for not budgeting better. People are working 2-3 jobs and still choosing between food or gas. Families are crammed into apartments because buying a house became a fantasy. You can't afford to get sick, you can't afford to rest, you can't afford to exist. But they keep telling us the economy is strong. Strong for who? Because it sure as hell isn't the people doing the work. We're out here treading water while billionaires build rockets, politicians trade stocks, and corporations raise prices just because they can. We were promised opportunity, we got survival. And what makes this worse is watching people blame themselves. Like somehow you failed because you can't afford a one-bedroom anymore. Like you didn't do enough, when the truth is the math just stopped adding up years ago. They told us to work harder, but never told us they'd change the finish line. This isn't a country full of lazy people. It's a country full of exhausted ones. Simple as that.
If you can't live on $37,000 a year, it's not because you're bad with money. It's because $37,000 doesn't cover existing anymore. That $121,000 comfortable living number, that's not luxury. That's normal. Rent, groceries, a car, maybe save a little. Average American makes $37,000. Work 2 jobs? Maybe $60K. By the time you get there, you need $150K to be comfortable. Companies raise prices because they can. Rent goes up because landlords know you have no choice. Healthcare costs whatever they feel like. Result? Millions working themselves to death to survive. Not thrive. Survive.
To live in the United States now. I'm 100% serious. It is too difficult to live here, and corporations and the government are demanding too much of their citizens. Period. Average house price is $500,000. Average living and comfort zone is $121,000 a year. If you exclude the top 3,000 earners in America, the average person makes $37,000 a year. Food prices haven't come down a single penny. I don't know if you've noticed that, nor have gas prices really. I'm gonna keep saying this until something goes right. The people don't make enough money, you can't work enough hours, and the cost is too high. No matter what it is on every single thing here in America, across the board, 100%. Unless 36-hour days start to become a norm, there is no way to make ends meet for a long extended period of time here. It's too difficult. I mean, that's the video. I don't know what to tell you. You know it's true. Companies keep raising prices, you're not making enough, and even if they gave you more money, companies would just raise the price more. The value of the dollar is too low, homes are too expensive, cars are too expensive, gas is too expensive, and I don't mean it from like a person that's getting older and, oh, prices are going up. No, I mean a 100% price increase.
So I saw this guy talk about like the cost of living and how he just can't afford to live, and I feel like I need to talk about like how bad I think it's gotten in the US, because I think it's gotten really, really bad. Like, we know it's bad, but it's bad. So 5 years ago in 2020, I graduated from college, and I had a job offer within like 3-4 weeks after graduating college. And I moved to downtown Dallas at the time, and I lived in a studio apartment, and I believe it was like $905 a month. Had a view of downtown. It wasn't in the best part. Botman Jean unfortunately did get murdered there, but it was a really affordable apartment, and I made about $40,000 a year, so I could afford it, and it was great. I went and I looked back, and the studios that I lived in are now almost double what I paid, which is insane to me.
Her rent doubled in 5 years. Same apartment, same location, same square footage, twice the price, everywhere. Studios that were $900, now $1,800. One-bedrooms that were $1,200, now $2,400. Salaries, up maybe 10% if you're lucky. Justification, market demand, except demand didn't double. Supply didn't get cut in half. Landlords charge more because they can. Groceries, $1.45.50 weekly in college. Now $100 for less food, no meat. That's not inflation. That's price gouging. People with money are fine. $200K salary, annoying but manageable. Making $40K, you're drowning. Can't save when rent takes half. Can't invest when groceries take the rest. The game is rigged.
Also, when I was in college, I always got groceries at Aldi's, and I could get meat and everything I needed for 1 week for one person. It was about $45 to $50 US. I went to Aldi's a couple days ago, bought groceries for me and my partner, and excluding meat, because I buy my meat from a local farm, so just getting like fruits, vegetables, and like crackers. We don't really get snacks, and like grains and stuff like that. It ended up being about $100. Obviously I spent the majority of my 20s living in the EU, and I've only lived back in the US for 1 year, but I can just say that I think it's gotten extremely expensive. 40K a year would have been a really, really good salary 5 years ago, in a low cost of living area, but it's not. I bought my house last July, and if I were to buy my house again, for example, I could not afford it. They built an apartment complex that you can rent right next to my building. I Googled how much people are paying to rent in these apartments, similar floorage. Honestly, part of it's a basement unit, and it is about like $500 to $600 more than my mortgage. They're also building $1 million townhouses 2 blocks away from the street that I live in. I literally could not afford, aside from like losing my job and all those other variables, I literally could not afford to buy my house again. And if it wasn't for the property taxes that I don't pay property taxes, I would not be able to own a house.
She bought her house last July, less than 18 months ago. Today, she can't afford it. Same person, same income, same house. The market moved so fast, she's priced out of her own property. That's a bubble. $1 million townhouses, 2 blocks away. Apartments renting for $600 more than her mortgage. Median wage unchanged. Who's buying $1 million townhouses? Not locals, investors, out-of-state buyers. Real estate as inflation hedge. Homes aren't homes anymore. They're assets. Regular people are collateral damage. Birth rates dropping? Not because people don't want kids, they can't afford them. Groceries, rent, daycare, healthcare, $6,000, $8,000 monthly before saving.
But yeah, it's really, really jarring to see how expensive it's gotten, and how devastating it is. And I'm always really grateful I don't have kids, because imagine you're a family of 4 and you have to feed 4 people and you don't make even $100,000 a year. Like, it is insane. And then housing is $2,500. I went looking because I wanted to move to a different part of the city, rent out my condo, and then rent some part in the city, thinking it might be cheaper. I toured a bunch of apartments. You are getting less space. You're getting you're paying $2,500, maybe $2,800 for a studio in Philadelphia. Obviously, if you're from New York, it's not that bad, but it's pretty expensive for locals here, especially given the median wage is not that high. It's insane. It's extremely expensive. If you are feeling the pressure and the heat of the rising cost of living, you're not alone. Even high earners are coming out and saying it's extremely expensive. Money is not going as far as it used to.
Before you give up on your dream to moving to the US, you have to hear this. When my husband and I first started looking into moving from Canada to the US, specifically Florida, it really did feel impossible. We did not have years of business experience. We did not have $1 million. And honestly, we did not even know where to start. But we learned about the E2 visa, bought a small business, and step by step, we built a life here in West Palm Beach. Was it easy? No. Was it worth it? Absolutely. So if you're sitting there thinking it's too complicated or out of reach, I'm here to tell you that it is possible. Don't give up before you even try. So want to see how Canadians are doing it? Check out my feed to see my personal story of how I made it happen.
Have you been dreaming of moving and working in the United States, but you feel that it's just impossible to do? This is where you're going to start. First, you're going to stop wasting all of your time applying to jobs on LinkedIn and Indeed, because you'll spend hours and hours applying only to find out afterwards that they won't sponsor your work visa. Instead, you need to start searching on job platforms that are actually going to sponsor you and offer jobs that will sponsor work visas. MigrantMate offers over 500,000 jobs in over 10 different kinds of visas that they are guaranteed to sponsor, which means they actually want to hire people from abroad. That way you can just focus on showing your qualifications, tailoring your resume, tailor your cover letter, have a really solid interview, and you're gonna get hired. It's time for you to start your American dream in the United States. Go apply on MigrantMate.
In 2 months, it's going to become completely unaffordable to live in the United States. And I'm not talking about luxury lifestyle. I'm talking about basic middle-class needs. I run a relocation business out of Costa Rica. I asked my clients, who are a couple from Bushwick, Brooklyn, why they were thinking of moving abroad. They sent me their monthly budget spreadsheet. So combined, they make $120,000 a year. And from that, they get to bring home about $7,400 a month after taxes. Their rent is $3,100 a month. And their health insurance is about to skyrocket to $1,750. They budget about $1,000 a month for groceries. Their utilities, internet, cell phones, and MetroCard are another $1,300 or so. So at the end of the month, this leaves them with about $250. And that doesn't include any unexpected expenses or the hope for investments or the hope for a savings account.
Let's do the math. $120,000 combined income. Solidly middle class, right? After taxes, $7,400 per month. Rent, $3,100. Health insurance, $1,750. Groceries, $1,000. Utilities, internet, phones, metro, $1,300. Fixed costs, $7,150, leaving $250 a month for everything else. Car maintenance, clothes, emergency vet bill, birthday gifts, anything unexpected. No savings, no investments, no retirement, no vacation. They're not living. They're treading water. This is Bushwick, Brooklyn. Used to be affordable, not Manhattan, not luxury. Regular couple, regular neighborhood, crushed by costs. Health insurance alone, $21,000 yearly, just for insurance, not care. Six-figure earners struggling. What hope does everyone else have?
So what they said to me is that this is what running in place feels like. And the reason that they want to move abroad is because they actually want to move forward with their lives.
Have you ever thought about moving abroad? Because life in the United States is hard. And you're probably thinking about what it's like to just quit your job and travel, live overseas, and experience a new life. It doesn't have to be this hard.
Hey, what's up, America? People struggling even though they're working harder than they ever have in their lives. So I think a lot of people here in America are starting to figure out that even making $100,000 a year isn't gonna cut it and everybody's still struggling. There's only so many fucking hours you can work before you run out of actual living time. You can only work so much before it starts interfering with just basic feeding yourself, pissing in a toilet, and sleeping. And that's what's happening with America. The burden on the American people for basic survival is now just simply too much for the average person. The money's not worth enough, people aren't making enough, and the cost of shit is just too high. Doesn't matter what it is, the cost is just too high. I mean, there's absolutely nothing that's cheap right now. People don't make enough money, and the value's not worth it. So you wonder why the younger generation doesn't want to work really super hard. It's because even if they do, they see that there's no way whatsoever to do everything that the generations before them could do, like buy a house, own a car, go on vacation. The younger generation already realizes with inflation and stagnant wages, if they work 96 hours a week, they won't be able to afford shit still. They'll have to get a minimum of 2 and/or 3 jobs and do that until they retire, and then after they retire, they'll just simply fucking die. And they'll get robbed on the way out for healthcare costs as well, and funeral costs, and taxes, and every other goddamn thing. So people aren't lazy in America, people aren't stupid in America, they're just giving up. They're just simply giving up. It's too fucking difficult.
People aren't lazy or entitled. They're done. They did everything right. Got the degree, worked the jobs, put in the hours, got debt, exhaustion, and the realization that even working 80-hour weeks, they won't afford what their parents had on a single income. That's not failure. That's mathematics. Can't budget your way out of rent, eating 60% of income. can't side hustle to homeownership when houses cost $500,000 and wages haven't moved in 20 years. The younger generation is giving up because the game is rigged, goalposts keep moving, and the reward for winning is not dying in medical debt. That's not the American dream. That's a scam with better marketing.
You tell everybody you need at least 100 grand a year. You finally make it, then you need 170. By the time you get there, now you need 250,000 a year. It's a never-ending goalpost move. So what's the fucking point of trying? Just to keep alive and not starving to death? Well, that fucking sucks. That's not a life. No, that's just basic survival getting back shots financially from major corporations. So you need to lower the burden on the American people. It's not fun out here and it sucks. And it was never meant to be fun, but you can at least give people some type of upward mobility and gain. This is dog shit.
So where does that leave us? With reality. America isn't the land of opportunity anymore. It's the land of work 3 jobs and still can't afford rent. But here's the thing. This isn't unsolvable. Other countries figured it out. Universal healthcare, affordable housing, wages matching cost of living. We just refuse. Because fixing it means admitting the system's broken. And the people benefiting, they don't want that conversation. So we get gaslit. Economy strong. Budget better. Work harder. Meanwhile, people drown. If the richest country in the world can't take care of its own people, what's the point of being the richest? Drop a comment. Are you feeling this too? If this hit home, smash that like button, share it, and subscribe. This conversation isn't over. Not by a long shot.